The Terrapins determine the health of the marshes. The scientists look at the female terrapin population to determine how healthy our wetlands are. And of course, the wetlands are the spawning ground for birds and fish, and everything around here. The back bay is alive. So that's why these terrapins are so important, and why it's so important to go full circle, raise them, release them, you know, gather the hatchlings, rescue the moms, and keep the wetlands healthy.
Well, I'm Jim Spatilla. I'm a professor at Drexel University, and I've been involved with turtles for most of my professional career. I studied freshwater turtles in South Carolina for the Department of Energy, and once I skipped a faculty meeting or a committee meeting and went to hear a talk on green turtles and met a guy who was doing an expedition to Costa Rica to study green turtles, and I got myself on that expedition. So that was 1978, and since then I've become a sea turtle expert. So we study green turtles, leatherback turtles, Ridley turtles, all different turtles.
One of the things we do as ecologists, we work with the conservation of animals. And since Diamondback terrapins are a species of undetermined status in New Jersey, one of the things we're trying to do is determine how many species, or what their population numbers are here, say in the Margate area, or also the other places that we're working along New Jersey coast. So it's really important that before you can develop a conservation strategy for these animals to determine what their population numbers are.
Well, I met this amazing family from Ventnor Heights. Taylor and Gabby are two young sisters, and then there's a mom named Kara and a dad named John Hendry. A number of years ago, I'm going to say it's been about 4 years ago now, they started bringing turtles to me. They just wandered in the shop, or they were in here for some reason or another. I had already been rescuing them and taking care of them, and we connected. They're just in a great spot in Ventnor Heights where the turtles do have access to get to people's backyards. They have a lot of nests that hatch. And Taylor is in the, she was in the middle school at the Ventnor Educational Complex at that time. Took it upon herself to do several assemblies for school on the terrapins with PowerPoint presentations, recommending to children or her classmates that rather than taking these things home or putting them back into the bay, that they bring the turtles to her and then she brings them to me. So I would say 40 to 50 turtles a season come from Taylor, Gabby, her classmates' efforts, and those of the kids, the students at the Ventnor Educational Complex. I would say 25 to 30% of the people that come through my shop in the summertime, and actually even now, this time of the year, if the door's open on the weekend or it's a nice day, people will come in to visit the turtles. It's become somewhat of a little aquarium where they can bring their kids, they watch them grow. It's something else for people that have young children down here on the island to do in Margate.
Turtles are ready to release when they're at least 2 or 3 inches long by their carapace, by the shell. Then they're big enough to avoid most of the predators out there, like seagulls. If they're foxes or rats or whatever, they have a pretty good chance because they can swim out in the open water, they can dive down, they can hide pretty well, they're pretty self-sufficient.
We generally do about 3 a year, depending on how many turtles we have. Dr. Spatilla and Dr. BM will come in, take a look at the turtles and say, we're doing a release. This one is ready to go. The other spontaneous releases we do is when people bring us female adult turtles that they found wandering around after nesting. Rather than dropping them right here by the bulkhead where they don't have access to land, we will put them in one of our charter boats, run them over to the marshes with the people that bring them in, and do an instant release. I imagine we do 20 or so of those a summer, just with individuals.
These turtles are really an important part of the component of the salt marsh. Keeps the marshes healthy. They're in the upper food chain. They're extremely important for not only the quality of the marsh, but they're also very important for fishing and all the other things that we enjoy in a marsh environment.
Why would anybody come out on a rainy day? I think a rainy day, any day you can let turtles go free in the marsh is a great day. Rainy, sunny. Actually, I like rainy days better because I don't get sunburned. So that's why I come out on a rainy day. The release was awesome. Awesome release. We had 6 young kids, couple mothers, and lots of turtles, 34 turtles free into the bay. So it was a great release. It's a great sign if they come up to breathe. You always want your turtles to breathe. They can go down for about 10 or 15 minutes. They can probably go down for half an hour when they get bigger. Diamondback terrapin turtles are sort of the East Coast turtle, East Coast sea turtle that every kid can see. And they're also an indicator of the health of the marsh along the East Coast. If there are good turtles and turtles are healthy, the marsh is healthy.
Well, all winter long, I still keep the lights on them. I've spent a couple years where I've experimented turning lights off, letting them hibernate naturally. I've tried keeping the lights on and keeping them awake because my goal is to grow them in a year so that they can be released, not to have them as pets, obviously. I find that I am most successful in growing them by keeping lights on, feeding them until they won't eat anymore, and they just lay there. What they do is hibernate naturally. No matter my best efforts, they'll go under their docks, they'll go under their little floating rocks, and they don't move. Or if they do, they just kind of float around lethargically. You can't get them to eat. That usually starts around the end of January, goes till about March. All of a sudden, they'll pop out of it, and they will be eating machines. They'll eat everything that you can put in there, and that's a huge growth spurt for them. And that's naturally what they would do in the wild also. They'd come out of hibernation and start eating.
3 or 4 years ago, Johns Hopkins Press asked me to write a book on sea turtles. So we wrote a book on sea turtles. It got funded by the Oakwood Arts Foundation, so we got nice pictures in it. And it tells the story of all the sea turtles. I think it's a pretty nice book. They call it a coffee table book, but it's really a scientific coffee table book. That's a pretty successful book, so they asked me to write another book. So I'm writing a book called Saving Sea Turtles. It'll be out a year from September. So it should be out in September of 2010, I guess. And that's going to be information on sea turtles and stories about the people who work with and save sea turtles. I'm going to do a chapter on terrapins. I'm going to highlight Robin in this book. I haven't told her yet. It's going to be the other sea turtle. There's 7 species of sea turtles. These are actually sea turtles too. They live in salt water in the estuary. So we're going to put a chapter in about the Diamondback terrapin. I think the activity in Margate, taking care of Diamondback terrapins, is awesome. From Robin, kids bringing hatchlings in from their yards to Robin so she could sort of raise them until they're big enough to survive. And now that the Margate Bridge Company has put up a fence, it's just tremendous. I would think probably 50 or 100 turtles at least will run over on that road on the causeway each year. Now it's probably 0 or 2 because of that fence.